Shoshana Wheeler, and I'll be doing several segments on nonviolent parenting, also known as compassionate parenting. And we are in our third segment of nonviolent parenting, also known as compassionate parenting. So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the paradigm of nonviolent communication as compared to or contrasted to the paradigm which we call the dominant paradigm, the paradigm that 99.9% of people live in. So a paradigm is a pattern or a way of thinking, and it also takes that thinking into our actions and into our beliefs, and so we really pretty much come from those beliefs. So a paradigm is a pattern or a way of being in the world, and there are two distinctly different patterns. So Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, created a language to describe both of these, and he calls them giraffe, which is the language of the heart, and jackal, also known as the dominant paradigm. So I'm going to contrast those for you. In the dominant paradigm, what parents primarily are wanting is to have power over their children. So in the dominant paradigm, it's children's job to obey, and it's our job to make sure that they do that. It's definitely having a power over position over our children. In the nonviolent paradigm, we actually want to be cooperating with our children. And that word cooperation is a two-part, co, which means together, and au pair, which means to work. So we want to be working with our children. And it's a wonderful, I love coming from that paradigm. Also in the dominant paradigm, we use people in the dominant paradigm use a continuum of punishment and rewards to get their children to do what they want them to do. And it can be anywhere from physical punishment, from shaming or manipulating our children to get them to do what we want them to do. Again, in the nonviolent paradigm, we're going to be looking at that deeply attuned relationship, and out of the relationship, we're going to make sure that everyone's needs are met. And we're going to really mourn if they don't get met. In the dominant paradigm, parents are judge and jury. So I'm going to tell my child what they did wrong, and then I'm going to be the one who decides the punishment for what that child did. In the nonviolent paradigm, we look and we know that every behavior that our children do and that they perform always comes out of their best attempts to meet their own needs. And sometimes we like the way that they meet their needs, and sometimes we don't. But we're going to recognize the behavior is just a strategy. And we don't have to punish it. What we want to do is teach a different strategy, a strategy that's going to, that we're going to enjoy more than the strategy that they're doing right now, which might be hitting their brother or their sister. So we're going to teach them something else to do other than hitting, rather than punish them for hitting. In the dominant paradigm, children's feelings and needs are not, they are not respected. For the most part, they don't even come into consideration. And in the nonviolent paradigm, children's feelings and needs are of the utmost importance, as are our own feelings and needs. So one is not really more important than the other, but one might be more urgent. So if my baby is crying, that is going to be a really urgent need for me to fulfill. Even if I'm in, the middle of something else, I need to attend to that crying because right now it's more urgent. So in the nonviolent paradigm, we really look to see that children's needs are very, very important, and our needs matter as well. And the primary tool in the nonviolent paradigm is connecting communication. And that's what you're going to be learning through these nonviolent parenting segments. And we really, really enjoy having power with our children, making decisions together with our children. So in the nonviolent paradigm, we are really seeking that deep, wonderfully attuned connection between parent and child. So what happens to disconnect us? And in the dominant paradigm, I call it the 4 Ds of disconnection. So these are the things that disconnect us from one another, whether it be you and your child, you and your spouse, you and your friend, you and anyone. These are the things that disconnect us from one another. The first one is that we diagnose. We diagnose other people. We evaluate them, we judge them, we criticize them, we blame them. And they sound something like this. He is so lazy. He never takes out the trash. He's so stupid. He's so mean. All of those things are diagnoses. It's telling another person how they are. And you can imagine if someone was saying that about you, disconnect. I don't want to be around them. The second D of disconnection is demand, and parents do this all the time. We make constant demands of our children. Clean up the dishes, clean your room, go pick up the dog poop. All of the time we are making demands of our children. And you have to think about how you would feel yourself if people were making those kinds of demands on you. When people make demands on me, the back of my hair sort of bristles and I I don't like hearing demands. Requests, well, I can hear a request. Demands are a lot more difficult to hear. Now, do our children need to do those things? Absolutely. And I'm going to give you ways in which we can help and support our children to do the things that they need to do. The third D of disconnection, and this is the hardest one. So I want you to know that this is really difficult to take in. The third D of disconnection is denial of responsibility. And what that means is that we are looking at the other person to cause our feelings. And here's the news. Our feelings are our own. They live within us, and if they get triggered, it's something about us that caused that trigger. When I say trigger, I mean if we got mad or if we got angry, if we're irritated or upset or sad, all of that lives within us. Now, were they the event that sort of triggered that? Yes, they were. However, those feelings reside in us. And so instead of saying, you made me so mad, I would say, wow, I felt really mad when I saw you do that. So it's just a different perception. It's not blaming you for my feelings, but taking responsibility for my feelings. And I just want to let you know, very few people do that. It is so much more the natural feeling to say, oh, he made me so mad. And I know I have that feeling as well. When my husband does something that I don't like, it really looks like it's him. And yet I always have to step back and go, wow, where did this feeling arise from in me? The fourth D of disconnection is using deserve language. And parents do this all the time with their children. You didn't eat your peas, no dessert. You didn't do your homework tonight, you don't get to watch TV. So that kind of deserving language, that one person, what a person deserves and what they don't deserve. And I know those situations sound, well, if he didn't eat his peas, of course he's not going to get dessert. And I just want you to know that there's just another perspective, and we'll be getting to that down the road. So I also want you to know that all people at some time or other do all of these things. And it's not that these are bad or wrong, they just always disconnect. And in nonviolent parenting, what we're trying to do is create that deep connection. So we want to find other ways besides those of the dominant paradigm. Thank you. This is Shoshana Wheeler at ProfessorIt.com. See you next time.